Welcome into the Beat Sessions, your place for all things music. I'm your host, Mitchell Weary. Let's talk about this new record from Sleigh entitled Bunky Becky Birthday Boy. It's probably their most aptly titled record to date, seeing as how the title comes at you 100 miles an hour, just like their music. But they released that on April 4th. This is studio album number 6 for the duo of Alexis Krauss and Derek Miller, and their follow-up to 2021's Texas, a record that I will admit I overhyped. Going back and looking at the review that I did for that album, I wasn't as thoughtful and wasn't as forthright as I should have been about my feelings towards that project and toward Sleigh Bells in general. I have felt embattled by this outfit for the last 4 or 5 years. And it's because I love them at my core. What they did with Treats in 2010, following it up with Reign of Terror in 2012, there's no one that sounded like Sleigh Bells when they dropped their first 2 records. And that's not to say that they're the first to ignore genre boundaries and to just go after any combination of sounds that they desire and to succeed doing it. But their style really was all of their own. It was built off of 2 sounds that, in a lot of ways, I might argue, belong in separate realms. Punk rock, which certainly has always been melodic, is just never something I thought blended well with pop music. I believe that pop music is phenomenal in its own right as well, but you started getting a lot of these bands that were blending the 2 sounds towards the mid to late 90s and into the 2000s that I never really cared for it. It was not my cup of tea. To each their own. If you're into it, you're into it, and I don't mean to hate. But when these guys appeared on the scene, they took those 2 sounds, combined them, and then meshed them together with so many other different elements: hip-hop, metal, funk, industrial. There's like glam metal in there. There's electro-punk. I mean, you name it, they were after it, trying to incorporate it into the idea of what Sleigh Bells can and should be. Truly one of a kind, trailblazers in that regard. And they've paved the way for so many bands, so many acts in the last 15 years, including Charlie XCX, 100 Gex, Sophie, Grimes, just to name a few. I believe that all of these bands really owe a debt to Sleigh Bells for carving out that path and for the popularity that, call it hyperpop, call it noise pop, call it what you will, experienced. It is blown up as a genre, and I would say that that's where my conflicted feelings come from. I feel that we are now in a day and age where the market of that sound is so oversaturated. And I might blame, the advancements in electronics, all the different synth elements and all the different computer programs that you can use to create music now have become such a massive influence and such a big part of so many bands and artists' sound. So it feels like, in a way, Sleigh Bells are the creators of their own demise, that their lack of, I guess, visibility, their lack of popularity in this day and age came about by being the foundation of this movement that, in a lot of ways, I'm not the only one that's argued this, is kind of dying off. Music definitely goes through its shifts and its trends. And I feel we're getting to a time and place where this style of music is fading off in terms of its popularity, in terms of its relevance, and how it's pushing music forward. And I feel that Sleigh Bells, in a lot of way, have stymied themselves. That foundational sound, which really is rooted in the just electric nature of Alexis's voice, truly one of a kind. And if you read about her and Derek meeting, Derek's search for that perfect female singer, moving to New York to find her, and being very particular about what he wanted. It's really cool that they were able to meet each other, and I love that they explore that a little bit on this record. And Derek, in and of himself, from a production standpoint, the guitar riffs that he lays down, the different drum elements, particularly on this record, the layer of traditional drums driven by humans, but then electric percussion as well, and the way that he's layering them and combining them are one of the great things about this project. There's a lot to love about Bunky Becky Birthday Boy. This is an album that really, in a lot of ways, gets back to that original sound that we know and love, and why we dig this band in the first place. But I feel in a lot of ways, this record stays in the safe zone. It's exciting. It is frenetic. The energy is just, it's unparalleled in comparison to most bands. The shifts and turns that the music takes, just keeping you on your toes constantly. But I don't feel like there's the combination of genres that you're familiar with this band incorporating into their sound that you're used to getting with their projects. I feel like the last few projects, starting with Texas and going back a few years, were attempts to kind of open up what they were doing from a sonic standpoint, expanding their sound, fleshing out tracks a little bit and opening things up, which I was all for. I just feel like at a lot of moments it didn't quite hit the way that it was supposed to. So seeing them come back to this territory, I wouldn't argue that it's a breath of fresh air. It feels more like they're coming up for air. And again, it's okay. It's still a good thing. This is a project that really runs in true form to what they do. 11 tracks, about 33 minutes. It just unfolds at 100 miles an hour, and it's really fun to listen to over and over again. I think Sleigh Bells, the challenge with them is trying to take notes and trying to keep up with the music, the way that it does shift, the way that it'll go from massive in-your-face drum beats and these just chaotic electronic elements to light vocal pop-driven elements, the shift back and forth. Again, it's very exciting. It makes their music very compelling. But I feel that this project really is focused on the pop and the punk elements. You're not getting as much of the hip hop influence. You're not getting as much of the industrial influences. I definitely would say that there's some work, some guitar riffs especially, and a lot of double bass that is channeling metal, but there's not quite the expansion of sound that I feel this band is capable of, especially at this point in their career. This is a record that is good, but it's not great because it doesn't feel like it's really taking too many risks. Like it's really sitting in the safety zone for the sake of being a project that old and new fans alike can approach and enjoy and find some comfort in. But at the end of the day, it's still Sleigh Bells, and I love that they are still together, still releasing music, and still having an impact on the scene around them. This thing, it kicks off with Bunky Pop, the title track, and thematically, real quick, I do love what this record is about as well. These guys are, they're right around my age. They're definitely late 30s, early 40s. I think Derek's 43. I'm not sure what Alex's age is. But Alex, just losing her dog about a year and a half ago, dealt with the same thing. It is gut-wrenching. It is really rough. Bunky Pop, a celebration of that great dog. But then Birthday Boy, the combination of the death of her dog and then the birth of her child. The circle of life, so to speak, as lame as that might sound. But it's the way that, like their music, life comes at you so fast. And if you blink, you might miss it. It's about taking in the good and the bad and digesting all of that experience, but still having fun, still being here and still being alive. And there's no shortage of that on this record. Even when it does venture into some dark lyrical territory, this is a project that is about having a good time, about trying to smash down the old person that creeps into all of us. I believe I saw something a little while ago. It was Rob Lowe talking about Clint Eastwood telling him, "Don't let the old man in." But for all of us out there, there's definitely that part of us that fights letting that old person in. There's something that will always be so grand and so magnificent about youth and about everything that goes along with it. Just the hopes, the desires, the physicality, everything about trying to stay young, I think to a certain degree is healthy and it's important. It keeps us motivated. It keeps life fresh. It helps us from being bogged down by the mundane nature of life that can creep in and it's families, jobs, all of these things. Making music after 15 years, they can all reach into that territory. So I do really appreciate the fact that these guys, they're still excited about making music, and you can feel that energy pour off the record. And it is one of the big positives about it. Again, I just wish they'd been a little more adventurous. Bunky Pop, though, is going to lead things off. You get this soft, flickering synth. It's very playful, and then hard-hitting percussion right in. Get this light, soaring vocal melodies coming from Alexis, and I love the heavy guitar that works in and out. And the guitar riffs are another positive on this as well. I feel that despite the pop flair of the music in general, there's really some heavy, hard-hitting riffs coming from Derek on this project. And I do appreciate the hell out of that. This song, though, it is a little more exploratory. It's probably going to take some of you a couple listens to kind of wrap your head around it. And I'm not sure really how I feel about it, but talking about branching out, I do love the industrial components, the hard rocking element that is there. The coda is going to explore some unique synth drum space, and I like the way that it gets a little spooky, and there's definitely more work with the guitars towards the end of this track. But it's a fun, energetic way to open this thing up, and it's about the best day that a dog can have, and that's something that I definitely appreciate. After my other dog passed, I took my older dog out to San Diego and was able to take him to the dog beach out there. And I don't think I've ever seen so much joy on his face with that experience. And I hope to do that as much as I possibly can in the near future before he's gone. But I think it's not just about the dog, in my opinion. I think it's about doing that for ourselves as much as we possibly can, waking up and trying to give ourselves the best days when we have those opportunities that we possibly can. Want to Start a Band is your second track. Nice heavy guitars. I really like the riff on this song. Mid-tempo percussions, really playful with the stop and go verse that opens up. You get these finger snaps that are kind of driving as a percussive element, along with the vocal. Synths and other elements are going to work in. And you got this interesting, call it like a middle eight, call it a bridge, but it takes a softer melodic approach and then finishes with this playful electronic element. And this is a song that is about these guys starting a band. So going back to their roots in a lot of ways on this record, not just sonically, but also in spirit with the lyrical content. Life Was Real is your third track. Starts off like it's going to get hard, but then it shifts to a more mellow atmosphere, the riff especially. It's going to build momentarily and then goes heavy. It's this point in time where you're not sure when it's going to happen, but the fact that it's going to does become somewhat predictable. And as the record continues, to a degree, monotonous. It's a good thing that they keep the runtime hot on this. I definitely think that works to the advantage of the record and what they're trying to do with the specific collection of songs on this album. It's going to have a bit more structure than a lot of the songs on this record, I would say. Instrumental movement isn't quite as adventurous. And then the bridge is driven by this icy guitar riff. Again, great work from Derek in that regard. And then it's going to go big to finish off. And definitely want to read some of the lyrics on this track because it's one of the ones that I really enjoyed. Life was cool and dark and crazy. How about you? Life was cool and lost, and maybe so are you. A new crime, a dangerous game. We can't wait to play. Today is the day I've waited. Come crashing this way. Life was real and dark and crazy just like you. Desperate, reckless, knives out, confess. Arrest me, sad face. You're a big kid now with the big kid power. So not the most eloquent phrasing, and that's something that they've never really been that well known for. But I like the energy as it moves through the back end of this record, as it moves to completion. It really is just about, crashing into life, about just going after it. And, whether you succeed or whether you fail, this is a band that has never been afraid to do that. And talking about that energy of just letting go and having fun and making music because you still enjoy it. This is a song that I really feel captures that. Roxette Rick is your fourth track. This is a band that's always kind of like reminded me of Roxette a little bit as far as the dynamic. Really explosive instrumentals in conjunction with just massive soaring pop vocals. Marie and I'm drawing a blank on the guitar player's name here at the moment, but I'm going to finish this review because I'm kind of deep in it. Pear, there we go. I've always loved what those two did together. Roxette is a band that my mother loves. Roxette. I grew up listening to them because of that, and I think they're fabulous, and I feel a big influence from them in the sound of sleigh bells. So Roxette Rick is just and it's kind of like the alter ego to Bunky Pop as well, which is another cool element. Definitely some concept to this record. Rapidly pulsating synths though, almost like a machine gun. The drums are going to build in, matching the bass on this particular track. Back to the twist and turns, coming off of kind of the, I'd say dull, not necessarily dull, but the restrained structure, the more conventional structure of Life Was Real. But I love, again, that homage to Roxette. The breakdown is going to drift briefly into these echoey dark synths, and then back to finish. This Summer is your fifth track. Playful synths to open, chugging guitars, mid-tempo, and then it explodes. Chorus is going to shift to this jaunty rhythm for a moment, and it's going to work back to that as well. Light and poppy with you get this like clapping percussive element. Breakdown features just big chugging guitars. I enjoyed that. Lots of double bass as well, so you're really getting a metal feel to this particular track. And then this single light airy riff is going to take over in that moment before this song finishes off. And another song that we're going to read lyrics from here for a little bit. One of these days, going to drop the axes. Power trip type might bomb the masses. You could roll an axe, or you could roll an ankle out in the street, and your body explodes on impact. Kicking and thrashing, send us home packing. Recognize patterns. Some of this matters. Terrible things we say that we don't really mean. This summer might be your last. Make the most of it, right? Enjoyed those lyrics. Can I Scream is your sixth track. Got these bubbly synths that are soothing. They're kind of interesting to open up the track until the entrance of this, and it doesn't take long. You get this like really chaotic, dissonant synth element. It's going to work for, just a few moments, and then it settles back in to this kind of balanced mid-tempo rock track. Lots of staccato play on this particular track, and another highlight for me as well. Badly is your seventh track. This one's starred on iTunes, and I wasn't super thrilled with this particular song. You get these ominous synths that open up driving percussion and heavy chugging guitars. I would say the guitars are pretty decent. Vocals going to hit to provide a bit of pop flair. Verses maintain a sense of minimalism for a bit. Big bright vocal there. The drums, a bit of synth, bit of bass, all that's going to start working in on the second verse after it goes to work in the chorus, building texture. I would say that the production on the guitar play towards the end is a highlight for me as well. But overall, this is a track that just kind of fell flat for me, especially because it has been a highlight for a lot of people. I've seen it on a lot of playlists, and it was of all the tracks on this record, it's just not nearly my favorite, and it comes at a rough point in the album, I would say, with the runtime of this thing, with the track run. You're starting to feel that kind of monotony a little bit with the construction of the songs and with the pop punk feel. Blasted Shadow is your eighth track. Icy Synths open heavy, stop and go intro. You get this vocal that's going to hit with the music as well. The track finds moments where it's mellow. It's almost kind of like a heavy shoegaze sound that they're working with here. Synths become more playful and prominent halfway through as the heaviness of this track builds in. And then to finish, that all just kind of drops and fizzles off. Your ninth track, Real Special Cool Thing, is got this big hollow sounding electric bass drum that opens up. Got finger snaps as a percussive element working. Punk style riff and vocal have light pop flair. Song is going to stay pretty mellow, all things considered, for this band. Music's going to drop to focus on the riff at a certain point in the song, and I enjoyed that part of it. And then a mellow build out to finish this track. High Someday is your 10th song. You got this fluttering synths that are going to lead in, up-tempo drum beat that drives the track. More synths build in with, it's kind of like this smooth, kind of like electro-punk yacht rock feel that I was getting from it. Heavy driving elements that are going to continue to build in. And I couldn't help but really feel a solid new wave, kind of like 80s pop feel. Think of like the Go-Go's, think of the Bangles, that kind of vibe. Great melodies and energy, heavy rapid fire percussion that ushers in a brief bridge. And then Coda is going to have more of this kind of like dark 80s flair to it. And then Pulse Drips Quiet is your 11th track. You get this kind of like Saturnine guitar, drums that are going to build in behind. It's definitely kind of a moody intro to this track. It's going to play with space. And this is a track that, like, I feel like it was too little too late. I've always appreciated this band, especially on the last few projects where they've tried to make this attempt to do something that is a little more open, plays with space a little more. You don't quite get this barrage of instrumentation. And while the song works into a driving heavy groove, it's still going to play with those open moments, shifting back and forth. But again, talking about just constructive criticism here, it still feels in a lot of ways predictable when those moments are going to come. But at the end of the day, you have a record that is full of fun energy from a duo of people that are very talented, that really do bring a lot of wonderful elements to this project and, to this particular record in general. But I just feel, again, this album kind of sits a little bit in the safety zone after coming off some adventurous territory with the last few projects. And I'm going to buy it. I enjoyed this band and I can see myself throwing this record on from time to time, but I can't help but give it a 6.8 out of 10. I just feel like at this stage in the game with this outfit, there maybe could have been more with this project. It is still good though. And with the runtime, I definitely think it's worth the energy. If you're a new fan or if you're an old fan, I think that newer fans might find a band that, given all of the style of hyper pop and just noise pop, if you want to call it that, that's out there these days, you might have a new outfit that you enjoy. And for you old school fans, I think you might dig into a lot of stuff that was there at the beginning when these guys were first blowing up back in a special time and a special place. So hope you enjoyed this record. Hope you find this review helpful. Please like this video, share it, subscribe to the channel, do all the things to help me blow this project up in 2025, and stay tuned throughout the week for more album reviews. We will see you next time on the Beat Sessions.